Hi everyone, I'm Ashlyn, an Associate Wealth Advisory Director representing Financial Alliance, Singapore's largest financial advisory firm. I'm a skilled financial professional with over 22 years of financial planning experience and over 20 years of experience in investment research and portfolio management.
Hi everyone, I'm Shanice from Financial Alliance, one of the Wealth Advisory Director in the firm. I've been in this industry for the last 20 over years.
We always want to know, how do you actually get started onto this journey of investing? If you mind sharing with us, what actually got you started into investing? Is there some inspiration that you have, or is there someone that mentor you, or
I suppose my journey of investment started when I was young, when my mom encouraged me to start saving out all my ampao money.
Wow.
Yeah, and in those days where interest rate is very high, every dollar that you save, you get an incentive. So that was actually my motivation to know that I should not keep my money idle and I should actually put it for better use.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, as for myself, I think it's a very natural process for me to start investing because I come from a below average family income. There's a lot of things that we want to achieve in our life, and just earning an income itself is probably not enough. I met a mentor of my life, so he gave me a motto in life, which till today is something that I hold very dearly to my heart. It's a bit similar to you, which is actually earn a lot, save a lot, invest a lot, and give a lot. So basically, earning an income, I think that is something that all of us are actually, the moment we graduate from school, that's just natural for us to just go for it. I mean, savings, I remember at that point of time, I don't even have a decent saving account. I'm not like you and your mom started, because I think I don't have that much of an ang pao. Yes, so that's why savings is something that I started, because my mentor of life, he told me, actually, do you actually have a bank account that only have money going in and not money flowing out? I say no. It's always whatever goes in, whatever comes out. So that's where I started my first Save As You Earn, to just create a monthly savings. And from there, he introduced me towards investing. And investing is just, I started with just five. You remember when I first started? Yeah, the first time they gave us was only 500. And it can be either 500 per month, 500 per quarter, 500 per annum, or 500 per semi-annual. So I started with 500 per quarter. So that was where I started my dollar cost averaging, using unit trust fund, from 500 per quarter to 500 a month, then to 1,000 a month, slowly building up the capital fund. Then it is also where I started to get to know. I walked to UOB Bank, buy my first gold coin in my life. Yeah, and looking into property investment. It just started the whole journey from there with that first step. Because after being in there, you just realized that it was a very interesting journey, about being able to earn and being able to give. So that is something that really got me intrigued, and it got me started, and the journey just moved on from there.
Wow, it's so encouraging. In this journey, I discovered that some of the mistakes that some of the clients make is they are very ruled by the emotional aspect of investment by the market. And one of those that we experience right now would be in the current market, the ups and downs, and given the high interest rate, a lot of clients is very confused to stay invested or to go for the safe haven like a fixed deposit or a CPF guarantee rate.
Totally understand. Yes. Emotional management, I think Warren Buffett, he always says, to be able to invest successfully, you need two traits. One is you need to be knowledgeable, and you need to have knowledge into the investment. But more importantly, it's actually emotional management. That's why I totally agree with you that emotional management is everything. I've seen clients, when the first sign, when media is a very, very big thing today. We have information overload. Whenever we see news that says that, there's these people making money from these things, you start to see people rushing in, herd mentality, but they rush in without a plan. It is mainly people sharing with them, then they just feel, okay, yeah. So they went in, They buy, they tell you when to buy, but they never tell you when to sell. And somehow, a lot of times, people cannot, I mean, when the news just come around, where there's people talking, I don't know if you noticed this, but every time when I saw, I mean, during the 2008, when I was looking at the newspaper, this picture always shows this. Whenever they want to show you that the market comes down, right, then they will always put a picture with a group of people who look devastated. So somehow it just always gives you that feel. It's like, oh no, something is happening. I must react. I must do something. So many a times I see people, when they start going into investing, they don't have a proper plan. They don't have a strategy to why they are doing investment. So they are very easily affected by the market noises and even friends. I mean, there are people who told me that, I ask clients, how do you go about choosing your investment instruments? So they say, this is actually, I got this from tips from friends. Yeah, which I have also seen portfolio that, I remember there was this client that I met many years ago. He invested 1.7 million. So when I was doing a portfolio review for his investment, the portfolio actually came down to be about 700 over 1,000. I mean, I told him 1.1 over million, and he's a drink store seller. Can you imagine if he sell a can of Coke, right? How many years he has to sell that Coke just to earn that $1 million? I calculated for him. I say if the Coke earns you 30 cents, right? Imagine you have to sell 500 cans a day and you have to sell 20 years to get this $1 million. I mean, isn't it very scary to be just buying based on tips? Which is I share with him, I say tips don't cost you a cent, but it costs you a fortune. Yeah, advice costs you something, but it may save you a fortune. So I think this is something that is very sad to see in the industry where people are just buying based on very irrational mentalities. And
actually, I really agree to this note of view. I mean, we are living in a world that is full of social update. The media is everywhere and it's so much accessible if we were to look at it 10, 20 years ago. This day we even have influencer online, Facebook Live, seller trying to sell investment online. We can imagine the drastic state. I mean, I'm not sure if you have encountered during COVID, there was even an influencer online that is selling bags that do investment bonus talk and telling clients how to invest their money.
I mean, they are not in the expertise area, but yet they are trying to cross boundaries, just to more marketing. I think it's more marketing and trying to get a cut and a share of the profit. But yet, who are the ones who really suffer from all these things? It's really consumer. Because the biggest risk, I told people, it's not about market risk, it's not credit risk, it's not even inflation risk. But the biggest risk I've seen is actually salesman risk. People really buying from salesmen, not really knowing what they're buying into. I think that is, the biggest mistake I've seen. I mean, anything else can be compensated, but this one, once you get it wrong, you really get it wrong. There's no way we can actually bring it back. I mean, you look at the Lehman Brothers, you look at the Schwab bonds, you look at all this crash in the market. All this, if you ever spoke to all these investors, you would have realized that they probably buy without knowing what they're buying.
From personal experience, I feel that some client or some individual, when they want to get started and they do not really take the step to progress further, it could also be fear, fear of the uncertainty. And then also at times I realized that it could be information overload. And given that we have so much more innovation, every other day we are hearing about, there is a new instrument, and many clients will feel that, do I go back to the traditional, the fundamental of the instruments that we are aware, or do I want to not miss out in the trend that everybody is talking about?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think information overload, definitely. I mean, you just look at it everywhere. Even you're at a toilet, you're not spare of advertisement. Yeah, right. Like you said, everyone is. I mean, for me, the way I look at it, when the experience that I do, I think the biggest obstacles that get them started into investment, I think, for the younger clients, I think it's because they have no idea. They don't know where to get started. They don't know what kind of information they need to know, and do they know enough? And yet they come across with a lot of there's a lot of courses out there who tells you that I can help you to make millions in how many days. You attend this course. I can help you, teach you how to make profit from the stock market. But I always have this conversation with my lecturer. I say, my lecturer always tell me this one thing. He says, actually, those who can do it, they will just do it. Those who can't, they will teach. So do they actually really make money from the stock market, or do they make from the teaching course? We really don't know lah. But the thing is that I look at it, I say that lack of knowledge is probably one thing. So they are trying to find knowledge out there to see how they do it. But the thing is that taking the active step to find out, but yet there is so many information, like you said, how to know which is the one that is suitable for me. Because I think everybody has very different skill sets, and environment is very different. So I shared with people, I say that at the end of the day, you need to know yourself. You know thyself, know thy situation, you know thy strategy that you have to take. So most clients don't understand themselves. They step into investing, they got burnt by investing, and that's where they will never ever invest again. Because they don't understand themselves, what kind of investment is suitable for them, suitable for their lifestyle, or even suitable for their goals and objectives. So, which is why I always tell people, in order to overcome this, you really need to go through a proper analysis to understand why are you getting started investing. I think that is one most important thing. Why invest? Then the second thing that you need to ask yourself is, how long do I have to invest? I mean, I have clients who tell me, I want to invest, but I ask them, how long is your time horizon? They told me, 2-3 years. I say, then don't invest. Because that is not even enough for us to go through a proper business cycle. That's why all the get rich scheme fast, I can help you make how much money in the shortest time. I think these are some things that we have to be wary about. And of course, the next thing that I need to ask myself is what is the financial capacity I have? Because based on the financial capacity, I will have limited instruments to work on. Yeah, because that will determine what kind of instruments should I use in order to reduce the risk exposure that I will have in terms of my portfolio. I think more importantly, like you say just now also, is about the psychology. Do I have the psychological propensity and the tolerance to take volatility in the market? So I have clients who tell me, I ask them this one question: if you ever see your portfolio come down by 20%, how? Will you be able to sleep at night? If you see a portfolio come down by 50%, will you be able to sleep at night? So if these are the questions that we need to constantly ask ourselves in order to determine what type of instruments will be. Because at the end of the day, stepping into an instrument that doesn't make me have peace, then that whole investment journey is going to be a very torturous journey. And of course, last, I would think that is about economic situation, which I think this can be easily, I would say that it's not the most important thing, but because ultimately, if I know myself, then I will have to work around with the economy. It doesn't mean that it's a fair weather investment or it's all weather kind of investment. It needs to be able to weather different portfolio. The portfolio must be able to weather different weathers in order to be able to have sustenance growth and help us to achieve the financial objective. So that's something that I think is important. For myself, I would think that there is not much differences between male and female, because I think it boils down to really that individual character. I share with you two real cases. So I actually have two couples client. Okay, so this couple A, the wife is the one doing the investment. Because she is the one who has the aptitude to take the volatility in the portfolio. She says every investment dollar comes from her side. Because I think she says that if her husband were to look at the investment, probably he will have the biggest fright of his life and he sell off everything right at the moment. So the husband's portfolio was totally into savings, capital guaranteed, anything that gives him that peace of mind and employ the peace of mind. So you see, in this situation here, it seems that the husband is the more conservative one and the wife is probably the more aggressive one. But yet, I have another couple, which is actually the totally opposite. where the husband wants to be the one doing all the investment and the wife is probably the one that squirrels all the money. She's the one who actually just want to, hey, can I have everything that is safe? No, that's why I think there is no real significant difference between male. I think it's not determined by gender, but it's about determined by probably the upbringing, by the exposure that we have, the community that we live in, and our friends that probably share with us certain knowledge and skills that determine the makeup of how I view investment. I mean, that in my opinion. How about yourself?
I mean, this is like a common topic, when it comes to female investing and male investing. I agree with you, Ash, that there's no difference, because there is women with a lady in this instance with a higher, more risk appetite, and some male being very conservative. And most of the time, if we work with couple, you will realize that there's always a balance.
Yes.
One of the couple will be the one that is in charge and taking care of the investment, and the other one will be actually being on a more conservative position to manage the household. I mean, one classic example I can talk about is even in my own household. Everybody thought that my husband would be the more aggressive and the person to invest. But it turned out to be otherwise.
Really?
I would be the one that is 100% on the aggressive, where he would be the one that is actually more on the conservative level. So in this instance, we already see a classic example that the female actually take on a higher aggressive role. Of course, what I attribute to the risk appetite is, as I'm working on a portfolio for my client, I strongly believe that we do at times need to participate, to understand, and sometimes to test the market. And through the years of learning, testing, and sometimes investigating, I actually realized that I'm exposing myself to all different kinds of risks, and being comfortable in a risk, I'm actually able to see it beyond a certain timeline, and knowing that what is happening in the market circumstances is not an overall situation that I should be looking at a certain point in time.
Yeah, interesting. I think the most important, I guess, for investors is we really need to get ourselves into the market. I mean, there's no way we can know how things is like. For example, I ask you, how does it feel like to be driving if I'm never behind the wheel? I will never ever know how it feels like. You can explain to me until the cow come home, but yet I will not be able to understand because I didn't get behind the driving wheel myself. I wouldn't know what it feels like to be really knowing what the investment is, which is also why I share with many friends. I say, I mean, in order to I have friends who come to me and say, Ashlyn, how do I actually go about learning investment? I say, at the end of the day, the moment you're in it, put your first dollar in, and you can feel the heartbeat, the heart palpitation of how your clients feel, or how even you yourself feel, your family will feel. Then naturally, you will be able to figure a way out. And of course, it's about taking small little steps. I guess it's about it must be manageable risk that I can take. I always share with people, it's like a fighter pilot. We are paid to take necessary risk, but to avoid unnecessary risk. Yeah. So if this is an amount, like I was just sharing with friends. I mean, recently we were at this cruise. Then they were talking about, they gave us tokens, to actually invest. But this token was given to me, and probably it is something that, I think it is it's okay for me to actually, if I make, I'll be very happy. But if I lose it, would it affect my lifestyle? Would it affect everything else? Then that gives me the courage to, just moving. It is something that I can really set aside. And I need to give it time. Because I always share with friends, I say, investing is like growing a tree. Growing a tree, firstly, you got to plow the seed, you got to plow the land, you got to plant the seed, cover it up, and then you constantly water it. And then, with the sunshine, and let it grow, give it time to really grow. But imagine if you were to go and dig it open every day to see if the plant grows. So I think before it really grows, it's already dead. Yeah, so I think investing, but Warren Buffett also said this. He said, if you don't even think of holding these instruments for a long time, don't even get started. Yeah, so I think investing, it comes with the right mindset. The mindset must be right. And getting ourselves getting the feet in, getting ourselves feet into the water, and then that is where the women will. And I also think that it's important to have a community. That's why I enjoy talking to Shani so much, to really discuss about how we feel about the market. What are some of the things that we can be doing now? We just need that kind of community where everyone, when us, are talking about the same thing. We are having goals, objectives, and a destination and the things that we want to achieve in life. It just becomes natural.
Yep.
Yeah, but when I'm doing this alone, it just gets very tough because there are so many distractions. There's so many things that I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. So I also don't know where I can go researching into it. Which is why having that right help, having that right person, people, the right community to really start sharing, that gives me the energy and I would say the impetus to start. I think the catalyst to start, I guess.
I believe that everybody have a different preference and different objective. And no matter how we explain to certain client the investment portfolio, how it is with certain safety net that is in place, they can be very uncomfortable with investment. So with client in this area, right, I normally would relate back to saving. So we will just make use of saving instrument to just build the saving, then to put them on the edge.
Employ the peace of mind strategy.
Yes, right.
Yes. Whereas for myself, I look at risk and volatility very differently. When I was in school, I studied banking and finance. So basically, when I was in school, I was inputted with this knowledge that, high risk equals high return. So, but when I came out to the society to work, when I started investing, I realized that high risk does not equate to high return. In fact, high risk equates to zero return. Why I say that? Imagine today I will say, Shanice, today I were to give you a job. I were to give you a job to do. You just fulfill this task and I'll pay you 100,000. And this task will only need you 1 hour. High risk, high return. Would you do it?
No.
Why?
Sounds too good to be true.
Oh wow, you're a very well-trained professional. Yes, imagine I would say, I give you 100,000, you just have to carry this bag of drug past Changi Airport to me. It's high risk, high return, just carry drug. But it's just that 1 minute of journey, but yet it will lead you to the possibility of going to jail. So to me, risk is not something that I want to accept in my life. Yeah, I believe that it's not about high risk, high return, but then people talk about it. Then what do you mean by the instrument is high risk? I say anything that is high risk, I will definitely avoid it. So I like volatility. So what do I mean by volatility? Every instrument will have volatility. Can you imagine if you were to invest in instruments, right, that does not goes up and down? Like a heartbeat monitor. What does it mean by going up and down? It means there's life. If it goes on a straight line, it means the person is dead. Same thing in an investment. Imagine if you invest in something that has no volatility, it literally means that when you start invest, till the day that you end investment, it's still a straight line. So is that really something that you want? But what we want is we want the ups and downs in order for us to identify opportunity windows for us to actually enter into the market. That gives us the ability, to have that movement ups and down in order to be able to see the kind of returns that we are able to make over the years for our own investment. Imagine the whole investment is just straight, then what for investment? But the thing is that volatility is a necessity, it's an inherent characteristics of an instrument in an investment. So I think it's about embracing volatility but avoiding risk. That to me is something which is what I will usually share with friends who talk about high risk, high return. I say no, don't even talk about high risk. High risk is something that we should really just avoid, because at the end of the day, right, why would you want to go into something and have the chance of losing out your capital? We want to have ability, to make sure that these things grow, but avoiding that risk. I think that is important.
I'll say that in the different life stages, maybe with undergrad that just started work, they may have the finance without commitment but limited resources. And whereby if we look at an individual into the retirement, they may be more concerned about Do they have enough to sustain the lifestyle? And also, what if there's no more future income and other aspect of commitment? Do they have enough? And the conservative portfolio, which in this instance need to be adjusted, would it be able to carry them through?
Okay, interesting. Yeah, for me, when it comes to limitation, I think I always recommend clients to start young, start early. Because I think when we are younger, we have the ability to recover faster with whatever things. I mean, when we fall sick, when we fall down, the ability to recover is faster. Actually, when we are young, what's the greatest asset that we actually have is actually time. And time, if used wisely, it can actually help in terms of the investment to have a very good compounding effect. Whereas for a person who is actually in a later stage of their life, I mean, you look at it when we're young, we go through starting a career. If we don't do something with now, eventually as we step into marriage, or we step into home ownership, that is where I start to see a major depletion of assets. Really start to see like, oh no, we don't even have enough. Probably we may be even taking up loans. Then eventually after that, childbirth comes along. So childbirth come along, nowadays the parents, I mean, we also have a lot of enrichment classes that we know send the client, send them for tuition classes. I realized that for a couple, probably one of the salary of the spouse actually is meant for all this enrichment and tuition. And other than paying the loan. So, I mean, there will be limitations of finances. And eventually, as they move on into the journey, the education funds, it's okay if we talk about Singapore education. I think Singapore education is still pretty much affordable because of the subsidies that's given. But for those who actually choose to go overseas, that is going to be a huge amount of money that has to be set aside. And after all this is done, the next thing that comes is my own retirement. Yeah, do I have even the time to really catch back, to catch up what was actually the lost time? So eventually, even if I were to invest very aggressively at a later stage of life, because of the limitation of time, that would also mean that I may even have to take on a more aggressive portfolio that may have more volatility. Which am I ready to stomach it at that point of time when I'm actually nearing my retirement age? So that is something that is always a question to me. That if we need to really, really think through the whole journey. Think about our life, really plan about our life, the different stages, making the right intelligent decisions, so that we can actually be able to enjoy peace of mind in the whole journey of our living of our life.
So Ash, what is your view and take whereby a lot of clients may say that during those retirement stage that to invest into property for regular income, then that is pretty safe. What is your take on that?
Wow. To me, in every instrument, you see we have many different asset classes. We have cash or near cash. We have stocks and shares. We have bonds. We have properties, golds. We have many different asset classes. And to me, I always believe that every asset class has its seasons. I call this the seasons of investing. Like in winter, we will have different flowers that bloom in winter. Like we will have flowers that bloom in spring. Same thing in investment. It is not so much about whether the property is the right investment during retirement age or whether stocks dividend yielding portfolio is better in a retirement age, but rather at that time and space. What is the overall environment that is actually helping? If let's say at that point of time, it just means that property market has just faced a crash, then I would think that, oh yes, that would be the best time for me to enter into property. But if at that point of time, like today, where we are experiencing stamp duty of 20%, ABSD, I mean, even for foreigners, there are all this kind of amount that we're talking about. Does it really make sense for me to enter it now? So it is not my age, it is my age at this phase of time and the environment. So we have to look at the internal environment and the external environment. So I always joke with friends, I say, you see, have you ever read the story of 3 Little Pigs? Yeah, so these 3 little pigs, right, when they grew up, the mother decided to send them out to build their own house, right? And we know the story where the first little pig actually built the straw house, the second little pig actually built a twig house, whereas the third little pig built a brick house. But all of them, right, is based on their internal environment, is the type of house they choose to build, based on their preferences, based on their resources availability. That's why, and also maybe their attitude in life. That's why they choose to build the house according to their preference. But the same external environment is appearing to them where they have the big bad wolf. The main advice is really start exploring. It's really start exploring. I mean, at the end of the day, people ask me actually why invest? So I ask this question, can I afford not to invest? Like for example, when Shanice just now you were sharing that your mom encourages you to actually save your ang pao money and then go into banks where you really get incentives, getting little gifts from the bank just to save money in the bank. The thing is that in the 1980s, the POSB, right, is actually offering 8% of savings just for normal saving deposit. And at that point of time in the 1980s, we're not facing extremely high inflation situation. And if you look at it, with high interest rate and low inflation, it's just naturally just putting money in the savings account and also putting money in just probably the CPF is the wisest thing for us to do. Yeah, but today the environment is really, really different. We are facing we're not facing high inflation, but we are facing high lifestyle inflation. Yeah, because the lifestyle that we have, now the GST, we're talking about drinking coffee no longer in kopitiam. We drink coffee in Starbucks. Yeah, we go into restaurant and eat, cafe and eat. It's not really in the normal coffee shop. This is lifestyle, and lifestyle inflation is actually growing at a very, very fast pace. And yet, the interest rate that is offered by us in just the savings bank alone is probably not even enough for me to hedge against inflation. That is why I think that investing is no longer a choice. It is something that I have to do. But does it mean that just by investing, I will definitely make it? I say no. I always joke with my friend. I say, imagine today, you're just standing at a cliff and I'm just taking a gun and point at you. I say, Shanice, you have two choices now. It's either I shoot, I'm at a very close range. It's either I shoot you or you jump down the cliff. Which one will you choose? Jump. Why? Why would you choose to jump? I would do the jump also. Because eventually, jumping, maybe I've got chance to survive. I may survive, I may die, but shooting right in the face, I'm sure I will die. So today, the investment decision is just something very natural and a very simple decision because I know that I don't have enough. Earning an income, the pay increment that we're getting year on year, is it moving faster than the GST increase? Is it moving faster than my lifestyle increase? I think it is not. So that becomes important for me to find ways, to actually think of ways to help me to grow the money. Of course, if putting money in the savings can still yield me good returns, yes, it will also be part of an instruments that I'll be using. But if it is not, then I have to find ways and not just stay there and hoping that things will change. Albert Einstein always say, he says, if you keep doing the same thing and expect different results, that's insanity. So what we want is we want to experience different results. We want to have difference in our life. So eventually, I need to take that first step to really do something really different, which is also why I also embrace this teaching by Lao Tzu. He says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. But to Ashlyn, I believe that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step in the right direction. If it's not in the right direction, right, you better don't take that first step. So it's really important to, get things right, know why you do certain things, and taking that courage to just take that first step, regardless of whether it's big or small. It just begins with that first step. And when the first step starts, the second steps will naturally follow. That is how I look at investing as a whole.
And I totally agree with you, Ashley. And I do believe that financial planning that we are doing really fall in place because it's by understanding the different objectives, taking the different step and what step to take that formalize the whole strategy together.
That's why we are good friends, because we are both financial planners.
What are some of the worst investment strategy that I make for myself, I would say that, usually, typically, I'm quite a disciplined person, but there are times I let my emotion get the worst out of me by trying to time the market. And every time when I try to time the market, it's whereby my portfolio lose the most.
That's why the saying goes, right? Time in the market and not time the market, right? Okay. Then how about the best investment decision that you have ever made?
Being very focused on what I want to achieve. Yeah. Just to share, I didn't start my first investment journey through investment because due to certain circumstances, my main objective after finishing school is to buy my own place.
Wow.
I cannot
Big ticket.
I can't afford to raise the money. So at that point in time, I diligently save. So I save up for the deposit before I move on to start my investment.
I see. For myself, I think, I wouldn't say the worst decision, but I would say that it's probably one of the biggest regrets I have. It's probably at that point of time, I remember my colleague, which is also my teacher in life that time, he was asking me, Ashlyn, do you want to come together with me and join investment with me into buying a property at that point of time? I think all my colleagues who know me, my ex-colleague or whatsoever, those who know me, they know this is something that I've always been talking about because this is really the biggest regret I have in my life. Because at that point of time when he asked me to invest in this project, I remember it's one Amber. So he asked me, hey Ashley, do you want to join me and let's buy a property together. And let's pool the fund and buy a property together. So at that point of time, I was thinking, oh, I'm so scared. Because a property is a very big ticket item and it comes with very huge loan. So I said, no, maybe that's not something for me. So, but yet, because I was very young at that point of time, then he says, well, actually, maybe how about this? Maybe you can actually help me to run through the whole process of investing in this property. That means you help me to meet the property agent, you meet the banker, you help me to settle the mortgage, everything. And then so that you can learn the whole process of doing property investment. So that was what he actually advised me to go through, which I did. I went through the whole process. I helped him to get the property. That time I remember he bought it at 700 PSF. And within 2 years, he sold it for 1,250 PSF. Then I was so excited. I went to him and said, hey, you make so much money because it was from 700 to 1,250. And his question to me was like, Ashlyn, why are you so excited? I said, I'm excited that you make money. He says, but you didn't make money. He says, so do you want to be forever excited for others or be excited for yourself? That's why I say it's one of the probably most regretful and worst decision I have made because I have caused myself a bomb by not investing because I lost out the opportunity of investing. If you ask me, what is the best investment decision? I won't call it the best, but I think that actually gives me a lot of confidence in investing because that actually happened in year 2008. When 2008, when the whole global financial crisis actually happened, most of the stock markets crashed. Regardless of which industry, which sectors, which country. At that point of time, I was monitoring the US market. And all the banks starts to collapse. You remember when Citibank dropped to $1, Lehman Brothers collapsed, Tongberg, Royal Bank of Scotland, everything just goes down. So at that point, I started an experiment. Me and a few colleagues, actually we pulled together a sum of money. And we say, let's experiment in the market. Because we learned in textbook, it says that buy when the market crash, buy when there's a sale. So at the point of time when every night we heard news saying that bank crashed, right? We went in and buy the bank stock. Because we feel that if the whole market crashed and the government wants to save back the sector, save back the country, save back the whole market, which is the sector they will probably have to go through. So it says probably it will have to go through the financial institution and the bank. So we decided, okay, maybe we should focus on the banking sector because at that point in time, China wasn't up yet. Then the next big question came was, which bank? Which all of us have no idea. So that's why we say, okay, fine, then let's all invest in all the banks that we heard the news coming down. So whichever bank collapsed, we just went in and buy the stocks. After 2 years, we actually tabulated our investment. And we found out that some of the counters that we actually bought, right, actually went into liquidation. That means it's delisted and went into liquidation. But yet, some of the counter that we bought in, right, actually made 400% gain.
Wow.
Yeah, so the net gain that I got in this whole experiment was actually 200%.
Wow.
Yeah, so it actually proves that theory that, be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. This is what Warren Buffett always say. Yeah, so the thing is that, yeah, there are a lot of opportunities out there. I mean, when we see sale in the market, like this weekend we're going to talk about, I was talking to my friend, hey, where there's a sale promo, travel fair, travel sales, we want to go and buy travel tickets just because it's cheap. But yet, when the stock market is cheap, are we as excited as we are to see the sale in the supermarket, to see the sale in the departmental store? Yeah, so I think it's actually the same thing. It's just that we over-complex the whole matter. Because at the end of the day, stock market is actually a reflection of a company. I mean, which business owner will actually set up a company to fail? Except a scam company. Right, so if a company is set out to make profit, if they don't make profit, it is just because they cannot make profit. But that doesn't mean they set up to fail. And which is also why I say that I'm a risk manager. My DNA is a risk manager. I always believe in diversification. I believe in spreading out my portfolios and really reanalyzing the whole place where I want to put it. As long as I'm ready to diversify, I don't believe that every single one will collapse at that same point of time. Because like I said, every instrument has its time and its season. If I am well diversified, I think that would also gives me a hedge, a natural hedge, that whichever part of the market, it's like, I carry my bag. I know that now is sunny, but if I put an umbrella in my bag, I know that even if it rains immediately, I will also have that to take care of myself. I don't have to be concerned about whether it rains or it shines. But I have the umbrella that is set aside. Yeah, so that is something that I believe is building the umbrella in whatever portfolio that I have. Then I would also be able to have peace of mind.
I believe that being an independent advisor gave the flexibility and a platform to design the solution at a more open architectural manner. We are not constrained by any requirement that we need to bring forth to the client for any decision making. So when it comes to client who decide that, I want to ensure that you are not biased against any advice, can I choose certain plan option? We are available to offer it. But if let's say clients say, I would like you to take care of everything, as I'm going to trust you with this journey, we are also able to offer. So I believe that there is a lot of room to offer to the public.
Totally agree. I mean, I came from various backgrounds. I've been in a bank, I've been in an insurance company before, I've been in independently owned financial advisory firm, and now being in an independent financial advisory firm, I think that has given me a cutting edge. Like you said, it allows me to have unbiased views to really design a portfolio that really suits the client. I mean, the company has a wide suite of solutions, and that allows me to have ability to matches the needs of various different clients. Because I mean, clients have different needs. They, like, for example, I tell you, some of my clients, certain platforms they cannot use because of the restriction of the company. If I am actually in one firm that only have a single solution, I'll probably have to say sorry to the client. I can't do anything for you. Yeah, but because being in an independent financial advisory firm, I have the ability to take care of different types of clients and the different needs that they have. And I think that is something which is very helpful. And more importantly, also, I see as this company is also a company, independent firm is also because they know they want to provide unbiased view. They are also very aggressive in growing the suites of solutions that they actually provide, and also actively employing strategies to actually improve the infrastructure of the company in order to be able to provide that support to consultants to support the clients, which I think that is actually very helpful. Yeah, and that allows me to have a much better, put me in a much better position in dealing with clients, which I'm thankful for.
Coming from the client perspective, coming from a client perspective, sourcing advice from an independent financial firm, I suppose the benefit of it would be the client is at ease on looking out for a solution that fit their needs. Like for example, I do have clients that look to me only to provide risk solution, given their proposition that they do not need assistance in other areas. They feel that there is no difficulty in finding the respective solution that they need. Whereas for some clients, they feel that they just wanted an advice. Being in an independent firm, you can also offer the advice-based services without feeling like I'm shortchanged. So I find that there is free room even on the client position, whereby they are free to be able to at ease to look for the solution that fit their need.
I also think they will probably be thinking that, they feel that, this is something that is more suited for them. And I think they will be comfortable because knowing that you have a wide suite of solutions, services provided for them, I guess.
We have covered a lot on the investment topic today. Hope you find it useful.
If you have any further questions or if you are ready to start on this investing journey, don't forget to
choose independent. Like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next episode.